Sweet. Mhm. Can you hear me? Hmm. Oops. Well, hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm not sure if we're on or not, but I guess Troy had some technical difficulties there, so we'll go ahead and wait for him to come back on. Happy Thursday evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well, wherever you may be. Maybe it's just the Shard show tonight. I'm not sure. Well, I can break the monotony here. So I have this cool, I don't know if you guys can see that. That's a pretty cool picture. It's actually from our Rush album, Working Them Angels. So I kind of love the whole soldier angel thing going on here. So that's a new addition to the bunker, I guess. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, let's see. And there's always show's always brought to you by the Ramp, the Rapid Access magazine pod that allows you a smooth, easy, and very fast reload each and every time of your 5.56 NATO ball ammo magazines, preferably polymer, preferably Magpul, because it's just fantastic. And yes, there's ammo in here, so it can bear the weight. Molly compliant. There you go. There's the plug. Hope you enjoyed it. So. I'm going to ask if anybody's had any problem with the USPS lately. Let me see if Troy's here. Stand by. There he is. Are you back?
Well, I'm back. Were you here by yourself?
I was here entertaining the troops, man.
Me?
I'm like Bob Hope. Yeah, I can hear you. I'm like Bob Hope. Did you hear me? Can you hear me?
Wow. Yeah, I was the one streaming and broadcasting. I got booted out.
Yep. And I was here just
of my own show, and it got it working. I'm glad you were here.
I was here sort of. I already like I pushed the ramp. I showed them my here. I didn't show you this. Here, stand by. Look at it. I showed everybody my new Rush picture. You know, Working Them Angels. Isn't that cool? I'm gonna tell you how much I
Yeah.
paid for it,
Where'd you
but
get
it's
that
from a
at?
Rush.
Somebody.
It's from a Rush album. Isn't that
Oh,
cool? Well, they showed this stuff when I saw them in concert back
yeah.
in 2008. So anyway, there you go. I've entertained the troops, and I already
There we
gave
go.
the ramp a plug. So there you go. It's back to you, Stu.
Wow. Well, welcome everyone to the show. I'm glad people are here. And let me go and check the chat. I don't know who we got there going on. I don't see much going on yet. But anyways, well, let me try to get some stuff set. Why don't you talk about that awesome looking new shirt you
It's awesome news.
have?
Oh yeah, I have a story, so you have to bear with me. That's beyond just the shirt. So yeah, this is my my recycle Ranger shirt. So which is now there's only three phases because when I went through there was four, but we won't talk about that right now. I won't bore you. So it's you start here in Benning, then you go to the mountains, and you go to the swamps. But you can go to any of them multiple times. It's kind of pretty much on you. So having my phase that I get recycled on here is not even in here because I was the desert phase, and specifically out in Dugway, Utah. That's probably why I glow at night because I had to do it twice. But twice is nice. So anyway, it's a personal meaning with the recycle thing, and it's freaking hilarious because it's funny now. It wasn't funny then, but it's really funny now. And I got kind of like the tropical Caribbean, India inspired Caribbean blue here, because when you're recycling in general, you want to be, Earth Mother Gaia is your focal point. So I kind of wanted to bring that in, but here's the larger story. So pretty much every year I send T-shirts and other stuff to help sponsor Best Ranger competition. So like
Right.
do the top 20 teams or something, they'll get a shirt, and I send extra shirts. So the cadre, who's working and supporting all the events and stuff, so they get some swag. But anyway, so I sent 3 boxes. Only 2 made it. Box number 3 did not make it to its destination. It's a big fat no-go. And so I went through the whole thing. I report, I said, what the hell? It's priority mail. It should have been there in 2 days, and then it's like a week. And all it says, Troy, is moving to, it says late, still moving through the network. And it still says that right now. So a couple things out of that. So I had to go through the first time I've ever had to do this. I've heard people complain about the United States Postal Service, but until now, I've had no problems in 12 years or so of using them, for shipping ramps out or whatever. So it's and I made it. I made a claim. A nice lady from the Columbus post office called me like at 18:30 hours my time, so it's like really late there, and she's like, "Yeah, just go ahead and do a claim after it's been a week or whatever it's been, or been 2 weeks, and because we don't know where it is, and I'll email somebody and try to find." But so they've just declared it
Was
like.
she not motivated at all? Did
Well,
she probably did talk that
she
way.
did say she was a 28-year postal service veteran. Maybe I kind of got that vibe. Yeah. So I don't know how hard they look, but it's still missing in action. I hope it turns up so some cadre can get some bitchin' T-shirts. But this is what I discovered, and I know that maybe this will segue nicely into one of your topics you want to get into. When I did mail them to the Army post formerly known as Fort Benning, when I pulled up the tracker, it wasn't Fort Benning, it was Fort Moore, Georgia 31905. So at least to the Postal Service, it is no longer Fort Benning, but it is Fort Moore. It even says it on my receipt here. So there you go. That's my story. So hopefully a box will show up. I don't care how late it is, but I really would like those T-shirts to show back up because they're pretty cool. But there you go. There's my story. So they've apparently officially, I didn't know it was official, but they've renamed Fort Benning already. I know they've been talking about it forever. And I believe they've also renamed Fort Hood to Cavazos or something like that.
And Fort Rucker's been named today. Fort Lee was renamed.
What's Fort Lee now?
Fort Rucker was named the other day.
What's Fort
Yep,
Lee?
that's all happening.
What about Fort Campbell?
It's named after. Actually, Fort Lee is now. Hold on a second. I don't think that's after Confederate. Fort Lee is now named is the first base ever to be named after someone that is still living.
Really
So,
interesting. Okay,
yes.
that's interesting.
So it's named after two. It's named after two personnel. A former retired lieutenant general,
Okay.
black lieutenant general, and a former retired black lieutenant colonel female. It is named after both.
Hmm.
Both. It is now called
Is it hyphenated?
Fort Greg Adams. Yep. So Lieutenant General Gregg actually was there the other day and signed into the Greg Adams club, All Ranks Club, where he apparently signed in when he retired in 1981. So it is now Fort Greg Adams is now the first base ever named after someone still alive.
Interesting. That's really interesting.
And Lieutenant Colonel Adams, she was, I believe, the first male of the Women's Auxiliary Corps, the WACs, the
Oh,
first and
really?
only all-black WAC unit to serve overseas in World War II. Yeah,
Okay.
so I mean, it's
That's
you know they
pretty cool.
picked people that have are really cutting edge and that kind of stuff, and just kind of led the way, and so they named it after two very inspirational black soldiers that kind of broke trail ceiling or how right for that. So
Right. Blaze trails. Yeah. Oh, why is it doing it again? Hmm.
that's pretty
You're coming in like broken and distorted, or just broken,
cool.
actually. That's better. You were back. You're back now. It was working so well for 12 minutes. Can you hear me? I don't think so.
I pay for good connection. Oh, I'm going to a couple of here. Come back.
All right.
You.
Am I back?
There he is. Oh, hold
Okay.
on. There we go.
Wait, I'm back?
Okay. Now I got your back.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Yep.
Oh, I'm getting jammed,
Yep.
man. We're getting jammed. Don't worry. I'm going to do a Meiji report.
Yeah.
So
You
my
gonna do a
only
Meiji
question
report?
is, why is it? I'm doing it right now. Rob, you can help me. You can check my work. So, like, that's all well and good about the renamings, but why is Fort Bragg Fort Liberty? Why isn't Fort Bragg like named after Jumpin' Jim McGavin or somebody? You know what I mean? Someone with some like airborne chops, historical, lineage, or
Right.
name it. You know what I mean? So, or some crusty, first sergeant, sergeant major from Band of Brothers or something. Something where you can go, okay, that makes sense. That home of the 18th Airborne Corps, if it's even called that anymore. Call it something. Name it something like that. I don't get the Fort Liberty thing, unless there's like some Command Sergeant Major Liberty, and that's actually his name. Instead of just the word. I don't know.
We have to look that. I forgot the reason for that. I need to. Let me try to bring it up here. I'm trying to bring up the news. So,
Awesome.
did you like that?
That was pretty
cool.
Okay,
here we go.
It was pretty cool.
Okay, here's all the base renamings. Okay,
I'm ready.
We have Fort Benning being named in honor of Lieutenant General Hal Moore and his wife Julia Moore, who's kind of considered the mother of the family readiness group and all that.
Right.
Everyone knows we were soldiers, right? So Fort Benning named after a hell of an infantry officer.
Mhm.
Got it. Okay, and named after him and his wife both, because she was so instrumental into the military program,
Right.
which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
No
problem.
Fort Bragg is renamed in commemoration of the American value of liberty.
Okay.
But yes, there are. I mean,
I appreciate.
They could have called it Fort Sneed.
Yeah,
I would go with Fort Sneed.
Hell yeah, Fort Sneed.
An awesome command sergeant major who did 28 years on jump status out of 30. POW or was MIA. Was the only sergeant major to receive to have a confirmed tank kill in Desert Storm. I mean, lots of reasons. Could named after him.
Yeah.
Fort Gordon.
Yeah, wait for it.
Of course, is being named Fort Eisenhower. Not sure if you know who that's for.
I can't figure that
Eisenhower.
one out. I had a captain.
In honor of General of the Army.
They call him Dwight.
So,
Big Dwight. D. Eisenhower. I don't know what the D's for. Rob, can you tell me? Is it for Doug? Is it for Douglas?
I don't see Rob on. I'm not sure Rob is.
Man.
I don't know if Rob is on.
I'm going to have to figure out what the D Dwight D is. Dwight David? That's
he put the
David.
D in. He put the D in Dwight D. Eisenhower. Right. I don't know.
Can't spell Dwight D.
All right, here we go. Right.
Okay, I'm ready.
Fort AP Hill. You ever been to Doug? Have you ever been to Fort AP Hill?
I have not, but I've heard of it. Isn't it some like National Guard?
No, it's a
what do they do there?
Nope. It's in Fort AP Hill, Virginia. Logistics.
Quartermaster stuff.
Administration.
Okay. Cool.
That kind of stuff.
That's why I've never been there.
I think it's that kind of
That's
stuff.
why I've never been there.
Named. Yes. Now named Fort Walker.
After Walker, General Walker,
no.
What?
Nope.
No.
Dr. Mary Edwards Walker. Not sure who she is. Not sure what she did. Because I'm trying to look it up.
I guess General Walker had, he had that Walker Bulldog tank named after him in the 50s, and I guess they said that was good enough. I don't know, but okay.
I guess it was. Yeah. So she was okay. Here we go. This is okay. Justifiable, my friend.
Okay.
Justifiable.
I'm willing to listen.
Dr. Mary Edwards Walker, the first woman surgeon in the Civil War and the only woman awarded the Medal of Honor.
That works for me. I don't even need to know anymore.
Yep.
That's to get to get a CMH as a female back in like the 1860s.
In the Civil War, yeah. Which means she was up there on the battlefront, like cannon grape shot flying over her head, while she's giving some poor sap a chunk of leather to bite into as she's sewing him up.
Or she's sawing off his arm or leg. I mean, it was
right,
God.
Right.
Yeah, give her the Medal of Honor just to be able to do that. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm good with that. Okay. I'm good with that.
Okay. Fort Hood, Texas,
Here we go.
Being renamed in commemoration of Fort Cavazos. I guess how you say it.
I say Cavazos. I'm not sure.
Cavazos. Cerveza Cavazos. Yes.
It's 50 minutes. It's 50 minutes north of here, my friend.
Yes. Has it been renamed yet?
Not when I was there on President's Day, and it was not renamed.
Okay. So it is yes, in honor of Army General Richard E. Cavazos, the Hispanic American hero of both the Korean and Vietnam Wars.
Okay.
So
all right. Cool.
Yes. I'm waiting to see a sergeant major here anytime now. Lots of generals.
It's a lot of prejudice. I see a prejudice here against non-commissioned officers. Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry,
here we
Troy.
go. Fort Lee, like I said earlier.
Yep.
Fort Lee now being called Fort Gregg Adams in honor of Lieutenant General Arthur J. Gregg and Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams.
Okay.
Right. So that's what that one is. Yeah, so Lieutenant General Gregg went from private to 3-star general, and he was a quartermaster logistician. Right. And then we talked about her, the leading the WAC unit, first one in combat.
Okay.
And then we have Fort Pickett, Virginia. You ever been there, Doug? Yeah. Lots of Virginia places here. You ever been to Fort Pickett?
No, they actually named a fort after Pickett's charge. It didn't go very well. It didn't go well at all. Talk about your grape shot. Oh, those poor saps.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm assuming that's who it's named. Yes.
Yeah.
So it is being named. Man, I see lots of jokes coming out of this one.
Oh, I'm ready.
And no dishonor to the guys being named after. It's being called Fort Barfoot. Right? Barfoot.
Is he a Native American hero of the Wild West?
No, Army Tech Sergeant Van D. Barfoot, who received the Medal of Honor for his actions with the 45th Infantry Division in Italy in 1944. So there's no doubt he did some awesome stuff.
I bet he's giving it to the
Tech Sergeant Van.
Giving it to the Nazis pretty good over there.
Giving it to the Nazis.
Well, that's cool. Can't complain about that one.
I'm sure he was.
Good.
Right. Yeah, you can't complain.
What about Fort Polk?
And then we have Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Okay, here we go. And so we got it. We have had one NCO. We've had one NCO so far. Now we have our second NCO, renamed in commemoration of Sergeant William Henry Johnson.
Okay.
Okay.
What did Sergeant Johnson do?
So here we go. I'll read to you. So Army Sergeant William Henry Johnson, Buck Sergeant, member of the famous Harlem Hellfighters that fought under the French Army Command during World War I. Johnson belatedly received the Medal of Honor for an action in the Argonne Forest of France, where he fought off a German raid and received 21 wounds in hand-to-hand fighting.
Yeah. No,
his family was awarded the Medal of Honor. His family was awarded the Medal of Honor in 2015. He died in 1929.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, he was a badass. They fought off a trench raid by some Germans, and he's a total badass. Yeah, and I think he sadly died. Maybe he had PTSD or something, but it wasn't a happy ending. It wasn't good. So that's good. I'm glad that they did that.
So we got some generals, we got some colonel, we got some generals, and we got a couple of NCOs, and now we have a warrant officer. Fort Rucker being renamed Fort Novosel for Army Chief Warrant Officer 4 Michael J. Novosel. He was a pilot who flew combat in both World War II and Vietnam, received the Medal of Honor for a medevac mission under fire in Vietnam, where he saved 29 soldiers.
Okay, I'm good.
So
solid. What about Fort Stewart?
Solid.
What about Fort Stewart, Georgia? I'm sure
not being renamed.
Is it named after? Is it named after a Union general? What is Fort Stewart? What?
Well, Rob is on now. He'll probably tell us.
Thank God.
Named over.
What was Fort Gordon again?
So
I got to write that down. Fort Gordon.
Okay, you want Fort Gordon is named after General Eisenhower.
Oh, that's right, Ike.
Dwight D.
That's weird.
Putting the D in Eisenhower.
Yeah, but okay.
No, what's weird is all of them are named after phenomenal. I just don't get it, right? Named after these people that Medal of Honor recipients and people that broke through and did things for the first time or were instrumental, like the Moors were, right?
Yes.
You got Sergeant Major Benavides, right? Special Forces Sergeant Major Medal of Honor recipient. You have no shortage of Medal of Honor people serving in the 82nd or Special Forces community.
Fort Bragg.
They could have named Fort Bragg after
Fort Benavides. There you go. You don't even have to change the B. You can keep the B on the sign, man.
But they could call it. They could change it now to Fort Waugh after Billy Waugh and the great things he's done. But they named it Fort Liberty. So the base of America's Army, the 911 of America, some home of some of the premier units in our military, does not even get the recognition or respect to be named after somebody who has
total badass.
done phenomenal things for this country.
I agree. So that's a miss.
So
that's a clean mess.
somebody
Yeah, that's a mess.
somebody screwed up there. Yeah.
Somebody,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know what they were
and you
thinking,
know,
but
here, yeah, in my theory, I think I shared it with you before, Troy. Is like, because the first question is, why in the world did they ever even name anything after a Confederate, general or whatever after the Civil War? Because wasn't their name Mud at that point? You just lost and a lot of bloodshed and all this, the stuff you were
well, you
fighting
have to
for and all
remember,
that stuff.
you have to remember if you look at where some of these bases are at, especially the ones in Virginia,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
These were probably the Virginia Commonwealth Assembly or whatever they call their
And they
legislature.
named that stuff. Yeah. Well,
We're still wanting to honor, and again, they were named after some, most of the Southern commanders were also West Point,
they were.
premier West Point
They were.
graduates, right?
Yep.
But oh, by the way, Rob did respond. Camp Stewart, Fort Stewart, named after General Daniel Stewart, a Revolutionary War hero
Oh,
from
okay.
Liberty County.
Cool.
So
All
there you
right.
go.
Cool. They kept
So
that. Okay. Thank you, Rob. So
right,
yeah, but I think they named them
yes,
that way though Rob, you can call me on this one, when they weren't even forts, when they were camps. They're all in the South. And I think they started
yeah,
forming those. Some of them might be older than others, but like during World War I and World War II, when you wanted some Southern boys to go enlist and go fight, the Germans, and
right.
so you're not going to name it after Fort. All I'm saying is there's probably a reason. At least it was only the maximum effective range of maybe naming those things after Confederate generals was, just for that particular time, because they just
I
wanted
think it was to appease.
they just wanted
I
to
think it was
appease
to
people,
appease to him.
because you
There's
can't.
no Fort Grant,
Yeah, there's no Fort Grant in
right?
Georgia. There's no Fort Lincoln. There's
There's
no
no
Fort Sheridan. Yeah, let's put Fort Sheridan in Atlanta. Yeah, the place he burnt down in his march to the sea.
no, that
Yeah,
would,
good
but
thinking.
no, it's Sherman.
So,
That
Sherman,
was
I'm
Sherman,
sorry.
wasn't it?
Yeah, Sherman, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I think
that'd be the ultimate.
Sheridan was in there
That'd
too.
be the ultimate slap in the yeah. That'd be the ultimate slap in the face. Hey, we're gonna build Fort Sherman on this smoldering
That's
rubble.
right. Hey,
That
come
used
on,
to be
come and
there.
enlist in
Yes.
the United States Army, boys. Come on. Yeah. So I think that's why they did it, because I'm always like, well, why the hell did they do that in the first? How did they even pull that off?
But
I'm like,
the
it freaks
thing,
me out.
Doug, the thing is, and I said this when they first announced it, was in all of my years in the Army, I never did I ever serving with, as and anyone that's listening knows, right? There's no more diverse organization in the world than the U.S. military, where they bring people
Absolutely.
from
Absolutely.
all four corners of the country, and sometimes from outside the country, and put them in a tight small unit that goes through extreme stress and risk and everything else. All that stuff aside,
Right.
never did I, when I was at Fort Benning, when I was at Fort Hood, or anywhere else, did I hear people complain about, I can't believe I'm getting stationed at Fort Hood named after that racist from the Confederate. Nobody knew these places were named after.
Right.
It was not the thought of any soldier of any demographic, Hispanic, African American, Jewish American, any American you want to call. No one ever thought, I can't believe I'm being stationed here and it's named after some dude that, either fought in the Confederacy or whatever, right? And thought, I'm getting out of the Army because I'm stationed at Fort Lee, or I'm stationed at Fort Benning, or whatever. My black hats and my drill sergeants, who many were black, were not upset because they were drill sergeants at Fort Benning.
They were jacking up
the home of
they were
wayward
jacking
boys.
me up just as with reckless abandon. Yeah, I remember that. I did my first PLF. Oh no, hell no. I remember that, and it's been 32 years. But real quick, one more. Let me say Fort Jackson, which I think is named after Stonewall Jackson, who also,
I don't know. Rob is letting us go any second now.
Well, I just want to say real quick, it's coming. I think General Hood, General Jackson, and General Polk, they were all killed in the Civil War, by the way. So there's just something there. They didn't make it home. So anyway, yeah, that's all very interesting. But yeah, I'm good with them all, Troy, except for Fort Liberty. I'm gonna have to, and then I want to get my sharpen my pencil on Fort Eisenhower. And no offense, but I'm like, couldn't they find some combat signalator who killed some Germans with his handset and his, prick 25 or whatever they had back then? He fought off like some Germans at the Battle of the Bulge with his freaking handset.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Fort Jackson, named after Revolutionary War patriot James
Oh,
Jackson.
cool. Okay, it's not Stonewall Jackson.
Yes.
Okay,
So
good. I'm good.
not
Thank
Stonewall
you, Rob.
Jackson.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyways, there we go. So this was one of several topics we're covering tonight. We are halfway through the show approximately, and we covered all the Army bases. So now you know they're in the middle of happening right now. Okay, change that. Fort Jackson update. Fake news. We had a fake news. First reports on the battlefield always wrong.
Fog of war.
Fort Jackson was established in 1917.
Yep.
And named Camp Jackson for the 7th U.S. President, General Andrew Jackson.
Well, that's not a whole lot.
Carolina.
It's not a whole. Well, Troy, if I remember my history, that's not a whole lot better, because Jackson was. Rob, check me. I think he was a slave owner, and he didn't think highly of Native Americans either, given that he was in like the Creek War and all that stuff before the War of 1812. So I'm just putting that out there. And, but he was in the Revolutionary War too. He should have died in the Revolutionary War when he got like hit with the sword by some British officer, and then he had cholera or something. So anyway, he's a total hard ass. But we have to. Yeah, should have died way back then. But
you've got it all. You got it all figured out. Okay.
Right,
all right. So we're gonna get into some other topics here. Let's jump off of military for a second. Let's talk politics. So the 2024. So the 2024 race is shaping up. You have now finally President Slow Joe Biden has released his video. His Kamala Harris for President 2024 video. That is out. He has now officially joined the race with Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
RFK.
I think it's right. Robert F. I think it is.
Yeah. RFK Jr.
And Marilyn Williamson.
Yes.
Marianne Williamson. His ratings are in the tank. He is, his ratings are in the tank on every major topic: immigration, economy, drugs,
Doesn't matter.
name it. Everyone thinks he's handling bad.
It's going to get
all that stuff's happening.
It's going to get 82 million votes this time.
So
next time around. So
we're coming out. We're at about, what is this? April, May, June, July, August, October. Okay,
year and
so
a
we're
half.
coming up on about 18 months from election day.
Right, year and a half.
Yeah, we're 18 months. Right, May will be 18 months. So we now have 3 candidates on the Dem side. The Republican side is building up quickly. Right, we have we got President Trump, of course, in there at a 52%. DeSantis at about a 21% to 25% in second place. A huge gap. Anywhere else would be blown away, but it's interesting to see how this is. And then behind him is a number of people: Nikki Haley, Elder, some other folks. I don't know.
Asa Hutchinson or something.
Asa Hutchinson. Yeah, everyone's throwing their hat in. I mean, Doug, you should just throw your hat in.
I
too.
should just say, hell, I'll get on Fox News and, and I can do whatever I want with all that campaign money you're going to send me. But I could buy a new car.
We got that. We got the Republicans shaping up 18 months out. You already got all the vitriol coming in from, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Vivek.
That's good. Thank you. Yep. So you got, you got all the vitriol coming in from the whatever media side they're going out. It's interesting, right? You watch what the left says and who they're attacking, and it's obvious to me, at least my impression, is they either want Trump to win or not worried about Trump or whatever. They seem to be on DeSantis so bad. It comes across to me that they see him as the biggest threat.
Well, maybe they think the stuff they're doing to Trump will keep him, if not out of it, distracted enough with resources and time and attention that's, and then they're focusing, all guns are brought to bear on DeSantis, who they think because of that will be the likely, I don't know. Maybe they read The Art of War or something, and they're trying to implement it, and that's what they're doing. I don't know.
So we're about to walk into next week, 18 months out from Election Day. It's going to crank up. I guess we don't have to worry about DNC debates because they're not going to do one. They don't want to put President Biden on a debate stage. And after seeing how he did with kids today, children at the White House, I can't say I blame him.
Oh no!
One,
what happened?
Can't go to a debate. You can't go to debate and have a flashcard knowing who's going to ask you every question, right? That's for one thing.
Oh yeah.
But he was asked today. what's the last country he's been to by a little. It was Bring Your Kid to Work Day or something, and he was asked by, I think, a little girl, what is the last country he's been to, and he started talking about how he's met 89 heads of state, and then he says, I really don't, man, where was the last place I was at? Let me just remind
Wasn't
everyone,
he in
he came back from
Ireland?
He came back from Ireland last week.
Even I know.
He came back from Ireland last week. So he said, there goes, where was I last? A child had to yell out, Ireland.
The Emerald Island.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Emerald Island. Yeah.
I was on. He took Hunter over there for a 23andMe tour, right? And went over there and gave him a free ride. He just came back last week. Right?
It's hard to remember.
He did not even know where he was, and it took a kid's help.
Come on, Troy,
right?
Cut him some slack. It's hard. He's got a lot going on, man. Come on, cut him some slack.
He also didn't have a bunny rabbit or Jill or the doctor there, the doctor of nothing, Jill, in his ear to tell him. So somebody whispered into a little kid's ear, and a little child said, "Mr. President, don't you have to go back to the Oval Office?" Like, caught on mic. It was either that or it was one of his staffers who sounded like a kid.
Wow.
But he leaned down, I was like, "What did you say?" She's like, and this little girl goes, "Don't you have to go back to the Oval Office?" Because gosh,
man.
He's like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." It's anyways. So he's not going to be in the debate.
No,
he's not going to be in debate, and all that. So we'll see. This is going to be, Doug. Every election they say this is the election of all elections.
It is. It's definitely. Come on, man. You got to play into it.
This is the one that is.
Ever.
But this one, not only is this one going to be important, because if they put Biden back in, they're putting Kamala in, and nobody wanted her the last time and wants her at all, or wants Biden. His own people don't want him. But the GOP side is about to get freaky weird, where you've got all this legal stuff against President Trump, who's running away from everyone else as far as poll numbers and everything like that.
Legal stuff against
I don't know if this is going to be. This is going to be an important election. But boy, it is going to be a weird one. I think it's going to be. We're going to be breaking trail everything else.
Well, Troy, I know this is, and with DeSantis too. He's gonna, maybe they're gonna try to, distract him with the whole Disney thing that's going on now.
The Disney countersuit, yeah. So they served him today. They served him today in Israel. He was in Israel on tour, and I guess they flew someone over there to hand him papers. I don't know.
Why do you do that? Is that even like, you're not even in the home soil and you get I don't know. So somebody has to look that up. That seems weird to me, but okay. Yeah.
So
that's weird, but we'll see how that goes, because there are some legal experts who think that Disney has a good case. So whether they do or not, we're going to be led to believe they do. And
are those legal experts on CNN? Are they their legal experts?
MSNBC, yeah, exactly.
So you've got that going. That's an interesting one too, though, right? Disney, obviously, Florida is known for a lot of things, but really, Florida's known. People, when you say Florida, and if you were to ask someone, say the first word that pops in your head when I say, and they say Florida, people are
going to Disney World.
More times than not going to say Disney, right?
Absolutely.
They're going to say Florida, Disney. They're going to say maybe Cape Canaveral, beaches, or Florida man, right? One of those things, right?
Florida man.
Pretty much, they may say vacation. They may say vacation. Right. They may say, that
beaches,
kind of stuff. But
Pensacola, maybe.
I would say probably 7 out of 10 people would say Disney, right? I
would say swamp phase of Ranger School in the Panhandle of Florida.
As highlighted on your shirt.
Right
but to have the governor, a very popular governor there, take on the biggest, probably commercial entertainment, probably the biggest entertainment business in the world.
Yeah, they own ABC. I mean, they own ABC, right? So they got their own.
And you got Disney Paris and Disney Japan and everything
Tokyo,
like that. To take them on like this, very interesting. Yeah, because people forget that Disney's even in California. They're like, what? Oh yeah, there's other Disney.
Yeah, it's a smaller one. The smaller ones out there. Yeah, Anaheim. Yeah, right.
Disneyland, not Disney World.
It's only land. It's not a world. It's not a world.
Right. But anyways, so we had that going on.
We plan to go this year, Troy. I'll let you know how it goes.
Are you? You're on again? You've been there a time or two.
I've been there a while. Yeah,
What? 8 months?
But I have to filter. I have to filter some things. It's biblical. Separate the wheat from the chaff. So I do that every
sifting. like the
You're doing it
Bible
every
says,
day, man.
sifting the
Sifting.
wheat from the chaff. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of
The
sifting will be going on, my friend. A lot of adult beverages will probably help me. I'll stay numb. I'll stay numb the whole time.
There you go.
But we enjoy it.
Okay,
If you
so
filter out everything, it's
so
great. If you
yes.
filter out everything and don't consider what you're paying, you can have a great time. But anyway, go ahead. So
Funny,
that's what I'm
funny
going
you
to do.
mentioned that. So when you go to so if I were to ask you some good tips for people going to Disney and how to make the most of it and not break the bank, you would probably say need to have a budget so you don't go crazy, right? Need to plan it out,
My
right?
wife does
And
that
just
all, as you know.
because you can only afford so many $25 crappy hamburgers that just came out of a freezer that
They're
they serve you. 'Cause
delicious,
that's pretty
dude.
much
The
what it is, right?
Astro,
Right.
the outer what the hell?
Yes.
The outer rim bar in the Contemporary Resort, man. See, Troy, I'm
You
even
know
a
you can
level
only
dumber than that.
but
Uh, Stacy books it all, and I have one standing order. Don't tell me what it costs. Just don't tell me. I don't want to
right.
know. I don't care.
Well,
So I just turn that off, and then I can have a good time. It's
when
that
you make
easy.
the millions that you do, when
Yeah,
you're as rich and affluent as you
that's
are,
right.
right? I
That's
know
right. I can afford to
money
do
is
that.
not
Yeah.
an object.
No,
Money is not an
it's
object, right?
yeah, that's
But
right. See, that would be
when you
so
think about
nice.
that, people go there. Not everyone is multimillionaire as the Shard family. So when they
Sure,
go there,
yeah,
they go,
that's
okay,
right. I'm sorry.
we're going to
I'm
stay.
sorry.
We're not going to stay on property. We're going to stay at the Fairfield or the Motel 6, 10 miles away, and
Right.
we're gonna put build our sandwiches in the morning and take them in with us in the park,
Shades of
and
green,
we're gonna
man. Shades of
right
green.
shades of green,
Shade green.
reusable water
It's
bottles,
green.
all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
my point is they have to have a budget. Speaking of budgets,
Oh,
our country has a budget.
do
Do you
we?
like how I did that?
No, no,
Right,
I love it, Troy.
our
No, no,
country.
no. Our country is like Doug going to Disney World. I have no idea what's going on. I don't care. The number is too enormous for me to even contemplate. So I'm like living in embodiment of our country's budget right now. Yes, exactly. Budget. We'll put.
You are,
Yeah.
you are,
I'm just.
and 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 if your wife was like Congress, they would be like, "Hey, I got our room booked at the platinum suite of the
At the
Disney
Grand the
Dolphin. We have
Grand
the entire upper
the
floor,
Grand
or the
Floridian,
Grand
man. Come
Bohemian, or
on.
something, right? Then, yeah,
The
whatever it is, I
Polynesian.
don't
Get
know.
your little
You'd be like,
Polynesian hut, man.
right? You'd be like, no, the highest end Disney, the one with the train just not just comes through the hotel,
The
it stops at your front
monorail.
door to
The
get you right.
monorail.
The
Yeah,
monorail
dude,
gets
walk
you.
right out.
So
Right, right. Yeah, come
if
on.
that's not only do you not know what it cost, but
I
if
don't
your family was
care.
truly like, but if your family is truly like our government, it would be steak and lobster every night with every Disney character, and it would
Oh,
be you'd be
the VIP
yeah,
tour. The VIP
right,
tour where you have your own personal Disney cast member guiding you around. Seriously, you go to the head of the line, and then like you
yep,
go, hey, I'm kind of thirsty. They literally will walk. They will go, and if there's a kiosk or something, someone selling water over here. Like you're just walking randomly, like downtown Disney or something. They'll just grab a water off there. They'll swipe their card and they'll just give you, here you go, Miss. Here you go, Mr. Shard. Here's your water. Or God, I could really use a pretzel from Germany. I'm here at Epcot. I'm feeling kind of they'll run and they'll just that's
and
the
while
way to
you're at
go.
it, I need
That's
a
the way to
shot of
go.
tequila from Mexico and some
They have a.
sake
I need
and
a
some
tequila
sushi from Japan.
floater from yes. There is a bar in the pyramid in the fake Mexico and the fake pyramid in Epcot. Yes, I can. I know.
Yes.
It's there. It's delightful.
So
Again, don't tell me what it costs. It'll ruin it for
so
me.
back to
Just
my
don't tell me.
topic. Back to my topic is our country, our president and our Congress are supposed to have a budget.
I'm
We are
sorry, I'm
spending
laughing.
money like a sieve. I know we're spending money like a sieve. Inflation is going through the roof.
Yeah.
And yesterday, the House of Representatives, by a slim vote, including 4 Republicans that did not vote yes, passed a budget to curb spending, but also pass a budget so we don't get to a point of it not having being able to pay our debt, rather than
Sure.
just raise the which I think that their proposal does raise the spending ceiling, but it has a plan of how to start to roll that back. Um, Thank you, Rob, for reminding us that we're
Yes.
31 trillion in debt because Doug just splurges at Disney.
It's just like that's a
And
typical budget for me at Disney World. I don't know
that's
what's the problem
that's
here. That's easy.
that's your
Just put it.
second day budget, right?
Hey Rob,
So
just put
now
that 31 trillion on my Disney Visa, so I get all those points. I get all those Disney
that's a lot
points.
of
That'd be
points.
freaking awesome. Yeah.
That's a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the Biden administration does not want to negotiate at all, and they literally are coming out saying the GOP is going to cause our country to go into default because they just don't want to they don't want to be our way or the highway. Literally, this is what's happening. The Democrats and the Biden administration is saying just pass it and raise it and let us keep spending.
Sure.
If you don't, it's all
people are going to die. Because aren't they trying to like
yes.
just I know people will die, and I know it's
they always tie it's going to be something to do with children. Children are going to die. They don't care about killing children. They don't care. They always care about children unless their children haven't been born yet. That they don't care about. But any other children,
remember
they care
1995? About. Remember they froze everything because I was teaching ROTC at Central State University in southwestern Ohio. We couldn't drive the van. We couldn't do. There were certain things we couldn't do the government van because the budget was all jacked up, and they were was Newt Gingrich and Clinton were like fighting about the budget. So it's like just to me, it's like a flashback to that, like almost 30 years ago. So it's just kind of weird,
right?
So I remember that. So
yeah. So anyways, we got that going on. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is continues to just wear the American people down. I think when they look at our country, like you guys can't negotiate, like really this side is, and I can't imagine even Democrats are sitting there going, yeah, bad GOP, bad Republicans, because you want to negotiate and try to curb spending. Because everyone I know, Doug, left or right, center, doesn't matter. Those that want, and most of them won't admit it or talk about it, so I don't go there, especially family members, are all complaining about the rising cost of everything, gas, this, that, whatever. But they don't even want to talk about why.
Can't go there.
It's terrible. Everything costs
more,
right?
It's just the way it is, dude. It's the post-COVID world, man. Come on, Troy, just accept it. It's the new normal. It's transitory. Right. Remember that one? It's transitory. Yep. Sorry. There you go. Transitory inflation.
Yeah. Okay. So. Yep. So let's talk about something else. Let's talk about this Air Force reservist. Right.
Sure.
This guy, E3, 20, 21 years old, probably did not have enough time in to actually have his TSSCI clearance make it through full adjudication yet. Yeah. What I understand was responsible for like moving IT hardware, like servers and routers and stuff, and like transporting them and maintaining them, like the
hardware guy. Yeah.
Right. Hardware guy somehow had access to all of this stuff. And now they're finding more and more that it went back even farther. And he did it, because again, the cerebral cortex is not fully formed until around 26 years old, apparently. And but he was impressing all of his little teeny bopper buddies on gaming channels about how much he knew. And was out there just putting it out there and all that kind of stuff. And we talked about this a few weeks ago. We were on how this is more damaging, in my opinion, back then. It still is more so now, more damaging than even what Snowden did, or even Manning did.
Probably.
What are you pouring there, buddy? Man.
Your news is depressing me, so I gotta fight depression. Go on.
Straight vodka. Okay, so he is, because this stuff was all current stuff. It obviously was very embarrassing for other countries and stuff, and embarrassing for our own country because it talked about how we spy on many of our allies, including the Ukrainians and Israel and UK and that kind of stuff. It talked about them spying. Also talked about we talked about this a few weeks ago. Special forces soldiers in the embassy in Ukraine, which they don't really do that kind of stuff. That's kind of a Marine thing.
They're proud of it.
Yeah. But anyways, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they're just there securing the embassy, Troy.
So they showed they released pictures today of his bedroom. And if this guy was, yes, he served and he was in the reserves and was but he's about close to being a poser as you can be. And the fact that he had camouflage wallpaper, army camouflage netting hanging from a ceiling, all these like pictures, like who Bravo pictures and stuff, which probably look great when he's on
Like
video
in the
gaming, probably
background, yeah,
behind
like
him.
this,
He was
yeah,
probably
yeah,
everyone's.
yeah,
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
something like
exactly.
that, yeah.
I got my Apache helmet. I got my Apache
Uh,
helmet back here. I've worn the
Hell
show
yeah,
before and
yeah,
stuff, but he had all this kind of stuff. I have a belt. I don't know if you see that bandolier of
that's
ammo right there. That's from my
fabulous.
dad,
No, that's
right
cool.
there. You
Sweet.
always need a
Yeah, you
bandolier
never
of
know when
ammo,
you're gonna
right?
need it. Oh.
But never know. But there's also a bear. I see my bear skull over my shoulder too. There, I should put that inside the helmet, but you never see it then.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
yeah, the this guy is he was a poser. He's a
Yep.
wannabe cool
Mm.
bro and stuff, and he leaked all this stuff. And it's okay if that was his job. But just like with the Target hack that happened when the Target leak happened with
Mm-hmm.
Target stores a number of years ago, and a third party company who managed the HVAC, the heating air conditioning units for all the Target stores, his account to log in and check the heating and air systems, and he was not a Target employee, he was a contractor, allowed him all the PCI data and access to all that. Just as that was
Wow.
just as bad. He did not have a need to
No.
know. An HVAC repair
No.
guy did not have a need to know. This guy with a TSSCI or an interim or whatever he had did not have a need to know to all that info, but somehow, and I think we'll find out it's going to be as low tech as Manning's was, which he just he burned CDs of data. He labeled them Lady Gaga, and he would put them in there like they were already like he was listening to them, and he was
It's a
burning
bad,
discs. Very
bad
low tech,
romance, man.
right? Very low tech,
Yep.
right? And this guy's same thing. I don't know how he did it. I don't know when he was moving the hardware, if he plugged it in and just stuck a thumb drive in, or because it was off the network, and who knows, but I'm going to assume it's going to come across as low tech as that. This guy was not a Mensa member. He was not, he probably did not qualify as a genius on the. I'm sure his ASVAB scores was probably not the highest they ever saw, but he had enough vanity and
Yes.
and issues going on with him that he had to use this and put our country at such risk to do that. So it's not all on him. It's definitely on him. And I think a couple commanders
That's what
have
you.
now been
Yeah. Yeah.
relieved,
That was interesting.
but
Yeah.
there's others that share the
Oh,
blame.
absolutely. And they always the question is like, is the information accurate? You know what I mean? Is it true? I mean, I don't know what to believe anymore, Troy, as you know. But that's another kind of like side issue. But yeah, and was anybody else involved? I know that you said they relieved some of the upper chain or whatever, but I don't know, how did he get this stuff? I mean,
Right.
Because I think everything you said is right. There's like there's no reason he should have had
Right.
any of that stuff. So I don't know.
Right. If he's moving stuff,
Yeah.
but
Mm.
I don't know if they will. Rob is putting up a couple things. Rob works in the same kind
Yeah.
of space that I do, right?
Yep.
There's
It's all bad.
there's a number of options
So
that could have
all
done.
three are bad.
Right. all bad.
All the door number 1, 2, and 3 bad.
But
yep.
And they'll find the holes and they'll close the gaps, and then the next time it'll happen, it'll be something else. One guy just asks his cube mates for a password so he can log in, and he steals stuff. Someone else brings a CD in and plugs his headphones in. Everyone thinks he's just working away, and he's stealing stuff. So they'll always find a way. Can never let your guard down. But yes,
hey, I had a theory though related. I know it's kind of related to Ukraine. On the Ukraine, we keep hearing about the Russians breaking out like mothballed T-64s, T-62s, and I think now they've gone to T-55 supposedly. So here's my theory, because I'm like, yeah, why are they? It wasn't working too well for the T-90s or the T-80s, the T-72s with javelins and whatever else they're getting shot at, by. Why they do? So I'm like, here's my theory. So they don't have a infinite amount of javelins and stuff. So to me, I think they're going to use those old T-62s and T-55s as just cannon fodder to maybe send them out first, like a screening, and you got your main battle tanks, your more modern ones, like a couple of echelons behind. Now I don't know how you get a Russian soldier to, hey, Sergeant Stewart here, I need you to drive this T-60. You just stay on this azimuth and you just keep going, and
what is my gunner? Where's my ammunition? You don't need that.
It's just you just
You're going to go
you
so
go
fast without all that
just
extra
go
weight, they'll never
so
hit you.
or if if they're high tech enough, what if they're like drone T-62s and they're just the remotely piloted T-6 and their mission
Well,
is just to
I don't
get
know if you
shot at
saw. I don't know if you.
and then
I don't know if you saw. They have a tank. They have a tank that they veiled in a parade. They're in the Ukrainian battle space. They're not sure they've used them. I think it's called the T-14. It is a remote operated. Well, not remote. The turret is remotely
okay.
operated. The gunner and driver and all are in the front of the
Hmm.
tank, and the turret is completely remotely operated from them in the
Hmm.
front. It has been wrought with overruns,
Shocking.
issues, building issues, and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. They have a couple that they've used in a parade. They do have a couple apparently in the Ukrainian battle space. They're not sure they've
Right.
used them yet. Again, there's still people in the front of it, so ring their
Yeah.
bell, and you've
Yeah.
done you've done
Right.
it in. There's just no one in the
Right.
turret, right? But so those T-55s, they have had to really scrap a lot of. I mean, think about our old M60s,
Yeah.
right?
Or
How many National Guard armories would we have to raid to pull M60s out
I
of the front
thought,
of and
do we
VFWs to try to put together one
besides the
M60?
ones in the museum up at Fort Hood that when I visited there, haven't we turned all our own old M60s and M48s? We've either sold them to foreign powers or we've turned them into barrier reefs, right? Don't they dump those things and make artificial reefs and stuff out of old APCs and stuff? So,
Right,
but
right.
like a T-55, that would be like an M48, Troy. I
So
mean, that's like really some old stuff. I
yeah.
mean, so did they even have ammo for the?
It'll survive. It'll survive an EM. It'll
It will
survive an
survive an
EMP.
EMP.
Yeah, that
That's
won't hurt it.
true,
But
but I think it's just javelin fodder.
so
I think they're just
yeah,
hey, we'll send them out. They'll
yeah,
get shot up by all the javelins, and then we'll send in our T-72 version, M's or whatever the hell they're up to
yeah.
with that thing now, and everything will be great. But if I was the Ukraine, okay, don't shoot at anything older than a T-72. Just let that crap go by. We just got to save our javelins for the real target.
They get
Uh,
all they need to do is they're letting people out of prison there if they agree to go to war in Ukraine. So they just let them out and say, just drive this tank. Don't worry, there's people in the back, right? Just drive this tank, and guess what? If you survive, you get to keep
yeah.
it, right?
Thanks,
It's like
Rob.
it's
Thanks for the
yours,
update,
right?
Rob.
That's your
Yeah, I
prize.
didn't know there was still 5,000, dude, M60 main battle patent tanks still in service. First use in combat, I believe,
In
in the
19
Yom
countries.
Kippur War, right, Rob? In '73, I think it was the first time the M60 saw combat, fighting off the Syrians and the Iraqis and the Egyptians and whoever the hell else they threw at Israel back
When
then.
I showed up at Fort Hood, we still had some at Fort Hood on Armory Row. That we had M1s and M60s there. They were still swapping them out. But,
Well, dude, I remember back in '82, we moved to Austin, and my dad was a retired Army officer. But I remember he drove my brother and I up to Fort Hood. I think we went to the museum, and then we drove by the motor pool. They had brand new M1s that were olive drab. I remember this, and they had the chalk outlines on them for the camo pattern. Brand freaking new, just and they were getting ready to camo them up. And I'm like,
hadn't even been painted yet.
They had the chalk outlines of this color and that color. So. See, look at that! I told you it was a '73 war. Yeah, and it wasn't good either, Rob, because I think they found out that the oh God, what was explosive in those things? But anyway, hopefully they fixed it. Anyway,
gas and ammunition. Yeah. So on the last thing I want to talk about, speaking of tanks, so yesterday, the Secretary of Energy, I forget her name, came out. Now the Biden administration, Biden had said this last year. He wanted to do this. She came out yesterday and says they are setting, and Rob will correct me, I know if I'm wrong. They are setting a goal that by 2030, they're going to make the military all electric tanks, electric trucks, electric Bradleys, electric everything, which is
very
interesting. Because I joked about EMP earlier for a reason. That's all an enemy would have to do. But I'm trying to imagine this, I think of the movie like Fury or any of those things or any of the battles in the desert, right? And stuff. And you think about, cruising and everything you do on an electric vehicle, they tell you have a 500 mile range. That's if you don't run any like lights air conditioning, stereo. You just drive with your windows up, and no air moving, and only quiet. Right, you can maybe get it. So you're driving with the tank. You're turning it. You're traversing your turret back and forth, raising the barrel up and down.
Everything.
You got
Yeah.
radios going. You got
Yeah.
mapping systems, GPSs. Everything's using
Yeah.
power. It's quiet. It's quiet as hell. It's also quiet when it dies and it takes a main gun round off of a gas guzzling T-72 or
Right.
T-80, right? Because it just sit there and it can't even traverse left or right because the batteries are like,
Yeah, I can't.
right?
Yeah.
So our administration is wanting to turn all of our military equipment into big freaking rabbit driven Duracell battery devices, because as Doug and I were talking about earlier before the show, to call them electric vehicles is
They're
a misnomer.
battery powered.
Right?
It's like your flashlight or whatever. It's not it's
right.
battery powered. And then what about this?
No one calls a flashlight. Yeah, no one calls a flashlight an electric light. If you say, "Hey, what's that electric light?" That's something plugged into the wall because it runs off of electricity. Right. Batteries are all that power these vehicles. Now they could be self-powered. I said this a couple years ago. I think a year or two ago. We talked about renewable energy. That there's no reason why you couldn't put the roof full of solar panels and the front end two big turbines, two big wind fans, and as the vehicle drives, it turns the fans, which repower
like an alternator.
The vehicle.
Yeah.
And if all these electric car vehicle manufacturers, just like an alternator, if they were all serious about this, then where all these electric vehicles love to have this cool, slick, solid front end. That's how you know they're electric, because they have no grill.
They don't have to breathe.
Cool
they don't have to breathe. They don't have to breathe. Yep.
2 or 3 8 to 10-inch fan blades that would just spin as the wind forces its way through, because you're propelling it forward with battery power, and they recharge it. In addition to that, with a solar panel, you could have
that would be an electric car
and just recharge.
That would be an electric car.
It would be
self-perpetuating, self-charging, self-powered. Yeah, autonomous, right? Yeah, that I don't get why we haven't done that yet. But yeah, to your point, Rob, batteries just, it's like a German U-boat in World War II. It's just battery powered underwater, and they couldn't stay underwater for, they had to go back to the surface to recharge with the diesel engines. I saw Das Boot. To me, the technology is not that.
Remember, imagine the battery driven howitzer, self-propelled howitzer driving up the battlefield and says, "We have to shoot 5 rounds at this target." Like, well, I can shoot 2. And then my batteries are pretty much drained, or I have just enough to get back. But if I shoot 5, my vehicle will die, because I have no other way.
If I remember, Rob, you can chime in here. Just batteries and radios, when it's really cold or when it's really hot, the lifespan is dramatically less. Like up in Alaska, and in the winter, the batteries for your Prick 77 or your TACSAT or whatever, and you're out running around in the woods at Fort Richardson, the battery life is like nil, and you had to bring all these extra batteries so you can keep sustain your mission and stuff. So what about that? And
where does all these where do all these minerals come out of? That they make these batteries? Where do they come out of?
Earth, Mother Gaia, for the and then what about the weight? Doesn't an M1A1 combat weight? What is it, pushing 70 tons? Well, batteries weigh a ton. Those Teslas weigh so much, Troy. They're apparently, from what I'm hearing, they're very dangerous in accidents, just because it's physics, because they weigh so much. And then I guess they go through tires a lot, like, because they weigh so much. I mean, there's all these weird nuanced things you don't really hear, besides when they burst into flames.
Well, the National Transportation the National Transportation Safety Organization just had to redo their vehicle testing because of the all-electric Ford trucks, the Lightnings or whatever they're called. They had to add extra weight to them to simulate all the battery weight to see how they do when they do the front-end collisions, because you have all that centrifugal force coming through. Think back to the day we were making derby cars for our kids. Right? You add too much weight, that thing blows right through the finish line and keeps going, right? You put too much weight on it. Right. But you're right. The weight is an issue. So let's say the tanks and trucks don't weigh, and they don't do enough damage on roads and everything else.
And then you got to move them. You
Now
got to
you're going to
move
pile
them.
the batteries.
You got to
Oh,
transport it.
let me give you the worst part, Doug. You're going to tell, they say now, right? Lithium batteries are like, oh, charge it down to like 20%. And then when you get to like, I mean, now the iPhones have, they monitor the charging so it just doesn't keep hammering it with charge and just wear out the battery. So if you tell Joe on a Friday, hey, plug in the trucks and the tanks.
That's right.
Hey, staff duty, go down on Saturday night and unplug them because we don't want them going over 80%. Joe's leaving that shit stuck in the whole time. It's just going to sit there and stay plugged in and charging non-stop, right? It is. So now I want to clarify. They're saying 2030. Dude, that's 7 years away. 7 years away. The Army. How Rob, you can tell us. I think what was it, 20 something plus years from the start of the Bradley
program
being awarded to when they produced a Bradley, right? 7 years away. How is the military going to replace? They could just pick the Humvee. How are they going to replace anything and make it all electric in the U.S. military? When you look at the time it takes for the acquisition cycle for any new equipment and everything it takes to field it and everything else. So this just shows how disconnected they are, how dumb they are, and they have their head so far up their fourth point of woke contact, they have no idea what it takes to conduct combat operations or what the purpose of a military
and
is.
To sustain it, and
that
to sustain them in the field and everything else. Yeah, I agree. And what about performance? What about performance? They put a turbine engine in the
imagine your commander coming to you and saying, Captain Mullen, is your company ready? Right. And your commander coming to you saying, Commander Mullen, are you ready to accept the objective? Go off. Well, no, sir. I need 36 hours to finish charging all my shit.
I got a couple. I got vehicles deadline.
Can we push this back? Can we tell the enemy just to hold off?
Got to charge a little longer. It was kind of cloudy today, sir, and we didn't get a full charge. We got to wait another day or two. Yeah, exactly.
Let me give you a story of how good this will work. I'm gonna give you a real world story here. I don't talk a lot about Afghanistan, but when I was in Afghanistan in bed with the Afghan army, our Afghans, they relied on us for all logistics, and their radios that they use, their walkie-talkie radios, they're nice ones. They did not have rechargeables like we do in our like 126s, 127s, the radios and man pack radios we have. I'm sorry, they did have that. They didn't have throwaway batteries. They didn't have disposables that you could just toss and put a new one on. So their batteries for the radios had to be recharged every night. So we'd be out on combat operations in the middle of the desert, and on the hood of my Humvee looked like the freaking back counter of the Geeks Squad at Best Buy, because we had to buy small generators on the market, on the Afghan market. We had to use American taxpayer dollars to buy these generators. We kind of dug a hole sometimes to maybe muffle the sound as this generator just tactical. Ran with extension cords all plugged in. The hood of my Humvee was nothing but power strips and charging and charging blocks for batteries that were issued to the Afghan military that were only rechargeable and couldn't take regular batteries. And every night, for them to be able to communicate the next day combat operations, they sat there all night. We were in a 2 Americans and 10 to 15 Afghans in the middle of Indian country, no concept of noise and light discipline, because I got an effing generator running in the desert all night long, and not like a quiet tactical generator, like Haji's Honda special, just running away, and every night. And then when it wore out, because guess what, you got to do maintenance on those, like change your oil and do that stuff. We didn't have time for that. We're doing combat operations. We ran that thing every night until it died. Get a new one. And when it died,
right?
We pumped a couple of holes into it and ripped it apart or blew it up so it couldn't be reused for some kind of IED.
Yeah.
And we went and bought a new one. We went and bought another one, filled it full of fuel, cranked it up, charged the batteries again. We went through a generator about every 2.5 to 3 weeks.
So Troy,
just doing it because we had to charge our electric rechargeable battery radio systems. We're talking just radios. We had to do that every night. Now take that and extrapolate that for an entire military,
our whole country, and what you just said is true. It's like fossil fuel driven generator to charge your battery operated radios, your battery operated car, whatever it is. Yep, absolutely. So nothing's changed,
Yeah.
Troy. That your micro example right there at that level, just expand that out to the, like you said, the United States Army, our country, or Western civilization at large. Yeah, tell me how that's going to work.
Imagine that
that's
visit to
right.
that Blue Star mom that turns Gold Star mom when they come and they say, "Sorry, ma'am, your son your son passed in combat," and when she's done crying, and her parents and the parents sit there and say, "Go, how? What happened?" Well, he was in his vehicle and it died. Did he run out of fuel in the desert? No, the battery ran out, and so he was stuck. He couldn't traverse the barrel, and he was just kind of sitting there, and never had a chance. So that main gun round came in on him because he couldn't even fire his smokes. Just think how that's going to go. His Duracell gave out, and so he's a casualty on the battlefield.
God, that's horrible.
That'll go over like a fart in a windstorm. Yes.
I don't know what to.
It's exactly.
I gotta do that.
So again, if 2024, it is the most important election we've ever going to have, because if you don't replace this administration, this crap is still moving forward. Besides the economy, the immigration, just gutting of our security of our country or at the border and everything else, it is just this is what's going to be propelled forward. They're going to think this is a solution to make our military an all woke, super woke, all green, electric, EV driven military that's going to need all these materials, not only from the earth, but from the earth in China.
Yes. And
where it's
probably
come
Afghanistan.
From. And guess what?
Afghanistan. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they have to be renewed. Battery. You own an EV, you own an all electric vehicle. Its value, after having buy some vehicles last year, I learned this, its value drops drastically at about year 7 and up, because the batteries pretty much got to be replaced about year 10, and they range in the thousands of dollars. So if you have a 10-year-old electric vehicle and trying to sell it, you ain't getting crap for it, because anyone knows they have to replace thousands of dollars worth of batteries, because the batteries are probably half shot in that thing.
And what do they do with the old batteries, Troy? So it's like they're raping the earth to make the batteries, and then what's the disposal plan for your?
They dump them with all the solar panels that are burned out and the windmill blades.
Exactly right. There's a big pile somewhere, probably in Dugway, Utah, or someplace. Yeah, that's where they're gonna.
Probably in this administration is probably putting them in any red state they can find.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, anyway.
Probably in East Palestine, Ohio, because
I was going to say, are they going to put them on? Are they going to put them on a train and have it derail?
Put them on a train and let it derail like the one did in the Mississippi River in Wisconsin did today.
I know. I heard that today. I guess there's cars in the river.
Guess what was on that?
Was it?
Yeah. Guess what's on those cars? Guess what's on those cars?
Horrible, probably.
Batteries.
Something bad for the environment. Yeah. God.
I don't know what kind of battery, but somebody's Prius is going to be hurting for a while. I don't know if it's that or what kind of battery.
Batteries.
Yes, batteries.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh my god.
That's
man.
it.
Go anyway, man. I tell you what.
Well, we covered a lot, Doug. We covered a lot. We've been a little over an hour.
It's been great.
And
it's been great.
There's a lot to hit on. We had a couple technical snafus at the start, and sorry about that. But it wouldn't be the Stu and the Nunn show without
our redundant comms kicked in. They seamlessly kicked in, and we continued mission. Right, Rob? Come on, this is funny.
Well, oh my God. It's all been great since Rob has been on. Rob was missing at the start of the show. He came on. He straightened everything out. He earthed our frequencies.
He's got the bunny ears. He's got the bunny ears right now with the aluminum foil on them. And look, man, it's crystal clear. This is a solid commo.
We are all in sync on our. We are all in sync on our frequency hopping algorithms.
Oh my God! And the time we got the time set down. See, I remember that stuff. Oh my God! Anyway,
how do I remember that? I know.
It's unbelievable.
Man.
Unbelievable. It's good. I guess it's good training.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
but
it stuck with us. But hey, we've been gone for a couple weeks. It's just things have been crazy. A lot of stuff going on. Haven't been able to even put little shows together. it was traveling and stuff. Got some traveling coming up. I'll be doing a show. I think next week I'll be in Maryland for a couple days next week. I'm gonna try to do something there,
my friend.
Doug. I'll see you in a couple. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
and all that. So. So we'll be on. Keep an eye on the show. Talking to our good friend Scott Mann. Probably going to interview him. Probably in a couple weeks. Probably going to do a show with him, and we'll have that up. So going to talk to him. He was in front of Congress a few weeks ago, talking about the effects on the withdrawal from Afghanistan. He's just been doing a lot of great things. So we'll have him on soon and working up some others. So
awesome. Well, looking forward to seeing you, Troy.
With that, Doug, and joining and watching. Yeah, definitely looking forward to it, and hanging out with you and the fam, and down in the great free state of the Republic of Texas.
The Rock.
With that, Doug, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You have a good night, and
you too, sir. Thank you.
And we'll see you in a couple weeks. Thank you. Tuned here. Stu and the Nunn. And check out all of our sponsors, BooHammer.com, Red Rum Sport Fishing Gear for Grunts, and Alpha Elite Performance, where you can do Elite 15 and get that 15% discount. I've got my stuff. I've been doing my pre-workout every morning as I go to the gym. So check them out. It's awesome stuff. And see y'all next time.
All right.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Stu and the Nunn Show, and we hope you had as much fun listening to it as we did hosting it for you. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. You can find all these links at stewandthenunn.com. We will talk to you again next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Commodity Outdoors, Veteran Outdoors, Enlisted 9 Fight Company, Warrior Media Solutions, and BooHammer.com. Thank you again, and have a good night.